Hello and welcome to your astrology forecast for the week of June 2nd. My name is Molly Flowers. Let's get into it. The green days this week are June 4th, Wednesday, and the weekend days, June 6th, 7th, 8th, and also 9th, Monday. The whole weekend green. Monday also green. A little bit of overlap there on Wednesday, the 4th, and that happens sometimes. So let's talk about work and ambition this week. Let's talk about the things on your plate this week. We have just passed the halfway point between Mercury retrogrades. Are you in a good place with your plans and projects? Mercury's momentum continues, but the pace is starting to slow. Okay? Not probably noticeable right now, but as you plan ahead, plan for a bit of slower progress, perhaps. Give yourself a little more time to get it all done and get all of your ducks in a row as time moves forward towards the next Mercury retrograde, which begins in mid-July. Jupiter is now a quarter of the way through a 20-year business cycle that began in late 2020. If you remember all of that news about the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the very, very, very beginning of Aquarius, way back in 2020, we are a quarter of the way through that Jupiter-Saturn cycle now. This is a milestone in the cycle, a call to check in and test the strength of the direction that you're heading in and that you've been heading in since late 2020. You may be feeling when Jupiter squares Saturn, it's lots of Saturn energy. Jupiter is the magnifying planet. So you may be feeling overworked, overwhelmed, or not quite sure how you're going to pull it all together and make it all work. Travel, paperwork, and legal issues are difficult now and subject to complicating factors. So let's talk about love and connection this week. June 6th, Friday, the love vibe, Venus, moves into Taurus, her home sign, one of her two home signs, Taurus and Libra. Taurus is grounded, sensual, real, and solid. And Venus in her home sign brings a stable and practical vibe to your relationships and connections moving forward from Friday. Best days for love and connection are going to be June 3rd and 4th, Tuesday and Wednesday this week, with a lot more coming up with sweet Venus in her home sign, earthy, grounded, sensual Taurus. We love that. So let's talk about health and energy this week. I'm seeing with Jupiter moving towards a square to Saturn and Neptune, spiritual growth comes with some difficulty. It's like too many spirits vying for space in your awareness or your dreams. It can affect your sleep, your dreams, your spiritual health, if you will. There may also be associated with Neptune an experience of grief or loss that you are working through now. If so, give yourself plenty of space and let yourself be wherever you are. With Jupiter squaring Neptune too, we can be facing another too much situation around distraction, deception, addiction, allergens, toxins, and toxicity, and other Neptunian bugaboos. All the Neptune stuff is up this month, this week, and especially this whole month. Be careful around water. Keep extra clean drinking water on hand. Extra clean drinking water on hand. If your pipes, if your plumbing is subject to malfunction or interruption. And don't take any chances with moisture in your living space. With Jupiter, Neptune, often we see big, heavy rains. So take whatever precautions you need to keep everything dry that needs to stay dry. And keep your life simple right now. There is a potential for complications to develop. And the more that you've kind of made a bubble of simple plans around you, the more that you can expand to fit the demands of whatever unexpected thing can come up this week and this month in June. It's a month full of red days, so we gotta kind of expect and strategize for that. Okay, it doesn't mean the sky's gonna come crashing in, but it will go smoother if we strategize. So spend some time clearing and cleansing your home and workspace and just thinking about how you can simplify and make things easier on yourself, because you can always expand to meet in whatever situation that comes up. But if your plate is already super full, then that just makes it a lot harder. So let's talk about what the moon is doing this week. We're in between the new moon and the full moon, so there's no big lunation this week. The week starts on Monday with a Virgo moon. Virgo is a practical vibe that supports digging into the details and streamlining, simplifying your work processes. The moon moves into Libra, shifting the focus to relationships, fairness, and balance on Wednesday. The moon will stay in Libra until Friday. The weekend's vibe quietens down as the moon dives into the emotional depths of silent but deadly Scorpio, making this weekend perfect for divination, spiritual activities, and healing. The moon is currently in the second quarter. That means the momentum of this lunar cycle is building. We're working towards the full moon, which happens next week, the week of June 9th. I believe it's the 11th, between the 11th and the 12th. Momentum is building for your projects and plans. Materials and efforts come together. You're bringing others on board with your plans. It's a good time to assemble, build, and test your creations as the moon prepares to release its energy, starting with the full moon. So get your stuff, prepare it, start getting it out there in the world. We're really in a growth phase of the lunar cycle this week. I drew a couple of tarot cards for this week. Let me pull those up for you. And you can get these notes on my Patreon. You can download them as a PDF, or you can share my Google Doc, and you won't believe the price is about as low as it could possibly be to get these notes. So if you are interested, you can't afford not to get these notes. Let me just put it that way. So for this week, for all of us, for all of my friends who follow me on my Patreon and on my YouTube, I've drawn a couple of tarot cards for the week to cover all of us. The first card is the Four of Wands. It's a happy card. It's a relationship card. It's a card of celebration. What are you celebrating this week? A house, maybe a home, a union. Safety, security, and celebration are the focus for this week. This may be about setting yourself up to have a smooth experience of this red month, this very red month on the calendar. To support the celebration, to support the efforts that you are making towards this, I drew the star. The star is a sign of renewed hope, inspiration, and clarity. This shows up after you have left behind an addiction or some toxic situation. The star is 17. It shows up after 16, the tower. It shows up after those things that you have built on a shaky foundation come crashing down, and the dust clears, the dust settles, and the stars come out, and the sky is clear, and you see things for what they are. The star is a really hopeful card. It's a star. It's a card of light. It's a card of light that nobody can put out. You can't put out a star. Yeah, so it's a card of healing. It's a card of healing. All right, folks. That's what's happening this week. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.